Well, good evening. It's 8:30 Eastern on a Thursday. That means it's a UPMA telecon. Um, this one's legislative and PAC. We're getting ready for, I think we got three more of these after today, and then you'll all descend on DC. I'm just going to kick everything off, and then I'm going to let Padric and John and the boys who walk you through pretty much where we're at. I do want to tell you that logistically, we have, as of this morning, it was 330 registered. So we're going to end up with an overflow room. The hotel doesn't have any extra space, so we're going to end up with like a satellite room for general session, which is fine, but it's a good problem to have. So I think people have got rooms that they're trying to give back now. I know that I think Saturday is the day you lose your deposit. So um, if people have got rooms or want rooms, I think we'll have that discussion here in a little bit. But also the logistics on the day are going to be interesting. But more on that later. So, um, who wants to start us off, Joel? You want to give us some
Yeah,
politics there
I'll
for the
start
week?
us off, and I think Brian can chime in if I miss anything. And I actually think Brian and I might disagree on the politics and what's happening here. But the House and Senate are in recess this week, and that's somewhat of a problem because there is a partial government shutdown that could happen on March 1st. So as of today, the Senate gets back on March 26th, or sorry, February 26th. The House comes back on February 28th, Wednesday. The government shuts down on Friday, March 1st, partial shutdown. And then the rest of government would shut down on March 8th if there's no deal. And where we are today,
Go ahead.
Conservatives are saying they don't want another stopgap bill. And a stopgap bill is kind of something that gives everybody more time to negotiate. So you would say, let's pass a 7-day stopgap bill so that we can continue to negotiate and, pass a larger government funding bill. The conservatives do not want to do that again. So that is an issue. They also have a lot of riders, and these are kind of policy things that are tacked on to funding bills, like abortion, some DEI stuff. And of course, with the Democrats controlling the Senate, that stuff is all dead on arrival in the Senate. So we have some, factions here that are against each other. So we will see what happens next week. The House has to act first. They will hopefully get the text of a bill tomorrow or this weekend. I assume they will vote on that on Thursday. Then the Senate will have to act. They have to pass a bunch of time agreements. It's always much slower in the Senate. But if they don't do that by midnight on March 1st, a bunch of the government will shut down. And then we'll see what will happen on March 8th. But I think if it does shut down, it's not going to be a long shutdown. Some people disagree with that too. I think we'll be fine by the time everybody's in DC for the summit. But that's kind of my view on what's going on. I know, Brian, you're not as pessimistic as I am.
It's true. I am a little less pessimistic than Joel. I do agree that the situation is again not ideal. I think it's very possible, as Joel said, a short-term shutdown could happen for part of the government on after March 1st. It does sound like people are working on getting some of these bills finalized and put together. The challenging thing really is that there are 4 bills that need to be passed by March 1st, and then 8 that need to be passed a week later. So getting everything, all the ducks in a row, in the short number of legislative days that they have to do it, is logistically challenging, but not impossible. I do think Joel is right. I think um, the opportunity for a sort of another patch bill to kick the can down the road for a short period of time um, is problematic uh, for both sides for different reasons, but both have you know reasons why they don't want more kick the can down the road. So I am I am a little bit more optimistic that the fact that most of the members of Congress don't want the government to shut down. Most don't want to spend time fighting over these issues, and there are other issues that most members would like to move on to. Means that they do find a way to get this resolved. But the fact that we're again this close to these deadlines, and we keep ending up sort of with the same sort of situation is not ideal. And the fact that there isn't a plan to overcome the situation yet is also not ideal. So things could be a whole lot better, but they aren't. And we're going to just continue to work our way through it with these guys.
So in order to avoid a shutdown, 4 bills by the 1st and 8 more by the 8th.
Correct.
And how many bills have we passed in the 118th?
27 total. And 4 of those have been to just kick the can down the road on this government funding stuff.
Okay. All right.
So I mean, they could ultimately decide to do that for another period of time. Including
what does it be an election year? What bearing does that have on? I mean, is it?
It just makes everything worse.
Okay.
So, we had the
the-
New York 3. I think since the last time we were on, New York 3 has had their special election and that seat flipped, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The margins in the House for the speaker are 3 seats now, which is a historically small margin. The House is basically operating at this point on things that can pass under suspension, which is a special rule that means one, no amendments, which most members don't like, but it also has to pass with 2/3 of members voting yes. And so if 2/3 of the people agree, generally, nobody's that unhappy with the legislative product. And that's how most of the business that's happening on the floor in the House is being done these days, which sort of makes the House a little bit like the Senate, rather than being the majority rules institution that it's historically been, where, when you're in the majority, your votes are going to be the ones that carry any and every bill across the finish line. And that's not quite been the case on things that have passed this year. It's been these, 2/3 big bipartisan majority bills that are getting passed. And that's frustrating for some members of the majority who want to do things their way. They feel like they won the majority. They did the work that it took to get a majority. They have power as the majority. They should be able to leverage it to their ends.
So, Brian,
And they're
speaking of
not
that, we have the
really
speaker.
effectively able to do that.
How's the speakership? I've heard some rumblings that there may be that contingent wanting to have a change again.
I mean, depending on what the government funding bills look like, and this whole other situation with aid to Ukraine and Israel, and the border, there are enough people who are upset that they're not getting enough that they try to remove him again. They had a big retreat the House Republican leadership over the weekend. And most of the reporting on it was negative. And I mean, let's be honest, it's the media speaking negatively. It's how they're wired. Negative stories are what they write. I mean, hey, they have a business to run. That's how they run their business. But it's possible. I still think it's less likely. I think the more likely outcome is that they still figure out a way to get something that gets more than 2/3 of the House to vote for it, more than 2/3 of the Senate to vote for it. Nobody's really happy with it, but nobody's so unhappy that they, really cause the whole thing to collapse on itself. And that the election year ultimately means that people will decide, a total catastrophe is not a worthwhile endeavor.
Also, we saw that letter to Biden on the governors. Have we heard any response on that yet?
Not yet. We had a conversation about this on Friday. And then again, earlier this week on Tuesday with the congressional staff. There's a lot of pressure, and a couple of former members of Congress, both of whom are friends of ours, Carolyn Maloney and Brenda Lawrence, who are very interested in the same seat, but they have to do the White House has to find one Republican and one Democrat on the board, and both of those people are Democrats, and it's created a political problem for the president. So they're sort of stuck right now.
Here's the theory I
We're
heard.
all pushing them to.
Here's the theory I heard today. So we go down one more in October. Right, we got another. Hajar is in his holdover year, and he's done in October. That would give him 3, and that's what he's waiting for is 2. But I mean, October is, cutting it way too close.
That's a problem too,
Right?
Because then, expecting them to get through the Senate, even if they're relatively well vetted people like former members of Congress, who
Right.
typically get, a significant amount of courtesy. That's still not a lot of time.
That was the and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I play one on Zoom. Both Democrats. You wait for the third one to expire. He's a Republican, and then you have 2 Democrats and a Republican going back on.
Yeah.
That's what they're waiting for.
And remember, one of the candidates, Brenda Lawrence, is from Michigan. The chairman of the committee that approves the Board of Governors nominations is from Michigan.
Yep. Hey, we love Brenda. Brenda's one of us.
Yeah. Yeah. The politics are.
Sure. And we're a year away from worrying about that with the PRC, but it's, that year's going to go. They all start, I think, 2 of the commissioners start their holdover year in October. So we've got a whole nother thing going.
Do we have any movement on the bills? Any additional co-sponsors?
I think we're up to 309, I think, last time I checked.
Yeah, since the House and the Senate have been out, they don't have the opportunity to add any more folks. But we have had good progress on our Title 39 efforts. So we have approval and go ahead from Republican Congressman Marcus Molinaro from New York. He's committed to introducing the bill for us. It's with what the legislative drafters in the House called Legislative Council. They need to just go through everything. We've given them a very good draft put together by our lawyers, but they need to just make sure everything is sort of gone through with a fine-tooth comb. It's 4 pages. shouldn't be that hard. But he's ready to introduce. We had a very good conversation earlier this week with the Democrats on the Oversight Committee. So that's Jamie Raskin, Jerry Conley, Kwesi Mfume, who are sort of understand what our position is and what the needs are. They're reviewing the legislation as well. And I think, everyone is very well aware of, our intention and Congressman Molinaro's commitment to have this introduced by the time we get to Washington.
All right, very good. Good. John, do we want to kick it over to John? John
Yeah.
had some things.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Mr. Dowds.
Good evening, everybody. The summit, the legislative summit coming up is kind of our the pinnacle for the year, but this certainly is a 12-month challenge. So I want to talk about two things. First, your chapter conventions, which are coming up soon, you're going to need PAC supplies. And so I don't know if you know how to order those, but I'm going to tell you how right now. If you go to our website, unitedpma.org, and you click on government relations, and then you click on UPMA PAC goals, forms, and documents, you're going to see a link there for a PAC supply request form. That's a form you can print out and fill out with whatever you think you need. Pins, ribbons, EPAC ribbons, donor envelopes, even the table runner, which is not on the list on the form, but you can write it in there. And if you need a table runner, the pins, I can tell you, we saw them today. They are fantastic. The brand new pins, they're really sharp looking. So get those orders in. You're going to email them to information@unitedpma.org. I'll wait while he catches up. So if you scroll down just below, right there, the UPMA PAC supply request form, you'll notice on there you can put in your chapter, where to mail the supplies to, and right where it says other, that's where you can write in the table runner if you need it. I would encourage you to consider the following, because these pins are not cheap. So if you, for instance, historically have, let's say 18 to 23 attendees at your chapter convention, please don't order 75 pins, because it's just a lot of money. It really just costs a great deal that shouldn't have to be spent. I get it. You want to have enough, so definitely order enough plus 10%, but just don't order 5 times the amount that, of pins as the people that normally show up. Just so.
And send back any extras. Anything you don't use, send them back.
Right.
And we got to see them today, and they're beautiful.
They are really sharp. So get those orders in now, because with 50 orders coming in, the office staff has to fill those and mail them out. So we'd like to get that done. We don't want to have 50 orders coming in, right up at the last minute. That'd be very tough to fill.
Anybody's got an April convention, like I'm going to West Virginia this weekend. I'm going to take theirs. But anybody's got an April convention, we'll probably just hand them to you in March.
In March, yeah. The other subject I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to ask for some help on this, is speaking of the 12-month challenge. I've said this before, but we're going to DC to kind of storm the Capitol and talk to all these folks up on the Hill. Well, it doesn't have to just happen in March. It can happen and should happen in your own state all year long. So there's political events going on in each state, and you can get funding to attend those events if the national office sees it as an advantage. So what I'd like to do is, New York has had a lot of success with this, And I've got Mike Silvestri who I've asked, and he's willing to talk about this for a little bit, maybe the process. Mike, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Awesome, thank you. So if you could just maybe go over how you become aware of these events, and then maybe your interaction with the national office, maybe just kind of do a step-by-step for us, that'd be great.
Well, what we do here on Long Island is that we make sure that we go on the congressman's website and click on that subscription. So we get those newsletters out or the announcements out from the congressman, so that we know what they're doing, what fundraisers they might be having, what's going on. We've gone to see Charles Rangel years ago, Peter King. When Peter King was congressman, we would go to his breakfast once a year. We'd get 8 to 12 people to go. That would be just before the November election. He would hold that. We've gone to see Tom Swazi at a fundraiser. We were invited to Tom Swazi's birthday party in Bayville. We just recently went to see Nick Leota not too long ago. So, we just try to keep aware of what's going on and what happens. And if there's something that we're interested in attending and interested in going, we went to see Lee Zeldin out at the end of the island when he was having a fundraiser, and they had the Trump's son there signing his book, which was pretty cool. We went to see Carolyn Maloney for breakfast on a Monday when we were down in DC. We got invited to her home in DC for breakfast. So, and what we do is we contact President Carley, and we emailed Dan Hines, and we tell them, we send them the information on the event, and we request the money. We've never been turned down, so. And it's our money that we donate at the state convention, that we donate when we go to the conventions. And we also try to visit our congressmen on Long Island at home so that they get to know us. And it's all very helpful. I hope that helps some of the PAC
Yeah, that
people out,
was
some of the
perfect, Mike. Just
people out.
couple things. There's 2 types of visits you can do. The fundraising visits, yep, you need to let us know whatever channel you get to pinpoint when the event is, and make that request from us, because we can designate I think we actually sent you the check and you got to take it with you, right? The last time?
Yeah, you sent
Yeah.
sent me the check.
Sometimes we do it
and
that way.
I,
Sometimes
I
we send it to the fundraiser and you'll just get the tickets. The
Right.
other thing is, and we can do this anytime, if they're having a town hall, if they're having a constituent meeting, if they're having, it doesn't have, there's the political as well as the fundraising, and you should get active in both. But yeah,
Edmund, we just make a point on that. So
sure.
They have separate websites. Usually there's their congressional website, and then there's their re-election, and they're separate. They have to keep them separate. And then again, when we go to the Hill, we don't discuss it on the Hill in their office, but you usually get to find out information.
Very
So,
true.
for
Yeah, it's usually
people-
like,
And make sure you do the event when you're on leave.
correct. Yeah, retired. Mike's been retired since the 90s, so it's
Long time.
we don't have to worry about Mike. But you're right.
90 minutes ago, right?
Yeah. Make sure everybody knows you're not at work if you're lobbying. You're lobbying Congress. Got anything else, John? That was awesome.
Great. Now, just once again, get those PAC supply requests in, and I'm always willing to help. You can find my personal email and cell phone on the website, and call me anytime about putting on these PAC tables at your chapter convention.
EPAC, it's the easiest way.
Yeah, and yeah, we're going to be pushing that EPAC here too. So that's That's all good. The pins do look nice. You guys are gonna like them. They're a little bigger than they've been in the past, but they are pretty striking. So, all right, good deal. So back to the logistics, and then we'll throw it open if anybody wants to have any questions. So we've decided to change the structure a little bit with 330 people. We're going to provide lunch for everybody on Monday as well at the hotel. So that'll make the lunch that we normally have a much smaller affair, but it means, you know, I'm not going to have 330 of you trying to find lunch in, you know, by DCA for an hour and a half. We're gonna get some box lunches or something come in from the hotel. So we're gonna take care of you on Monday. We'll take care of you for lunch on Tuesday at the Capitol Hill Club, so you can plan accordingly. The overflow room is a little bit of a logistical nightmare, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Does anybody have any questions about anything that's happened? I know Wisconsin. Is Wisconsin on? Do you have?
Yeah, I'm on.
Hey,
We
Melissa, how are you?
good. King size bedroom at Hyatt available. If anybody's interested, otherwise I'm going to be canceling tomorrow.
Okay,
So
somebody
if-
take that. 'Cause I'd hate to give that back, but
Yep, so just contact Melissa Tarleton.
okay. I know it looks like Minnesota might be interested, and I know Morty Bennett from Virginia was looking. So you want to give me your email real quick, Melissa?
Sure, it's the same as my name, Melissa Tarleton at gmail.com.
So
And that's
MELISSATARLTON at gmail.com.
You got it.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Are there any other questions? One thing we didn't talk about is meetings. How's everybody doing scheduling meetings? Anybody running into any roadblocks with meetings?
This is
Hold
Sharon, and
on.
can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Out of, we have 38 congressmen and 2 senators.
Mhm.
I have 18 appointments, and I'm begging, and they switch names on me.
Mhm.
Don't talk to me, talk to them, a different person. Do I just need to target the ones who are not co-sponsors of HR 82?
Okay. Yes.
I would have that at the top of your list.
Yeah. Those should be
Yeah.
the top of your list. You also want to drop in on people that are on either Ways and Means or obviously our, the oversight committee. So you can pretty much put it in that order. It's a large state. I mean, Texas is going to bring a bunch of people, but you're not going to have enough people to do, eventually you just do a drop in. I remember one time with Obama when he was senator, we just had to walk in. They wouldn't take a meeting, wouldn't take a call, so we just walked in the office and dropped the stuff off.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No, thank you, Sharon. I for some reason I remember you and I going to a meeting one time.
Yes, you were there for me.
I just happened to be walking by and you said, "Here, can you help me with this one?" Yeah. It just popped in my head.
It was perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else?
Hey,
Well, on the
I got a
topic-
question.
Go ahead, Earl.
Hey, this is back to the PAC real quick. For our chapter conventions, who do we should we reach out to point of contact for the year to date PAC contributions and the lifetime?
Dan
to
can
share?
pull it. Just
Dan?
email
Okay.
Dan.
All
He
right.
can pull that for you.
On that note, Edmund, I will send out a year-to-date PAC report and the PAC medallion report for each of your chapters to the PAC chair and to the chapter president approximately 1 week before your convention. And also those of you that are chapter presidents, I will be sending out if you have a memorial service, I will be sending to you and usually to your retiree president the list of the deceased members that we have for the past year for your chapter. Again, those will come out about a week before the convention. So the information is as current as possible.
Thanks, Tim.
Edmund,
Sharon.
somebody sent me the program for the summit. I don't know where they got it.
Yeah, no, there's a, does it have a date on the top? Current as of?
I can't tell you. I was just in shock that she had it and I didn't.
Yeah. Those are floating around. We will have probably, I've got 2 more people I want to get on there for sure before I send it out officially, but we kind of know, we know what the rundown is going to be. Lewis is going to be there. The OIG is going to be there. Connolly is going to be there. I haven't got a definite from Peter Pastor yet, but I'm sure he's coming. And then the boys are working on a round table, fireside chatty kind of thing on the web GPO. So it's almost good. It's almost finished. We know what the rooms are going to be. There's not going to be any change there. So I'm not surprised that that's out there. Any other questions?
I've just got a little feedback on the topic of not being able to get meetings with people and doing a pop-in instead. Last year, we had one member we weren't able to secure a meeting with, but the date on Monday afternoon, I sent the contact in that office an email saying, hey, we're going to be on the Hill tomorrow. Going to swing by about this time to drop off some paperwork with you. And they were able to free up a little bit of time to come out and chat with me and the rest of us as we dropped off the paperwork. So if you have a meeting around the corner up the hall, there's a good chance that you can get them to free up a couple of minutes to at least talk to you if you say, hey, I'll be by about this time.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just persistence. So good deal. All right. I think I covered everything. Padric, you got anything else?
I think that's just get those meetings scheduled, get that information out there, and then secure your rooms. Again, there should be some information on those 2 extra, what is it, the Renaissance or residents in the courtyard if people are still looking across the street.
I saw a couple of rooms just change hands live in front of me here, so that's awesome.
Let's make a deal.
Yep. That's all good. John, did you have anything else? Did you get it all in?
Make PAC fun. Put a balloon on it. Make it fun for the members.
We're gonna kick it off in West Virginia this weekend. I'm gonna make them give till it hurts. So. All right, Joel, Brian, we good?
Yeah, just if you're having trouble setting up meetings, Friday mornings are a great time to send follow-up notes to folks. Generally not as busy on Fridays. If you can do it before you get to work, hopefully you have an answer early in the morning.
Good advice. Piece of insider information, that sounds like. All right, guys. Another great call. Got it in a half hour. I'm proud of us. It's seems like it's rolling along. We're doing great. So if you need anything in the meantime, you know where we're at. Get those PAC supply orders in. Let's get the meetings done, and hopefully we'll have language and a bill and everything else by the next time we get together. So I'll see everybody next week. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.